Look closely at your own genetic makeup, and you might find something terrifying. You could share the exact same genetic mutations and brain anomalies as the most notorious serial killers in history. I'm going to take you through one of the most unsettling and misunderstood mysteries in forensic science: the physical blueprints of a killer. We've spent centuries arguing over whether these individuals are born as monsters or if they are meticulously built by a broken society. This is a 3D model of the human brain. Right at the front is the orbital cortex. When neurologists scan the brains of serial killers, they consistently find physical damage in this region. This area acts as the brain's braking system for dark impulses, but in these offenders, it fails to fire. A broken orbital cortex removes the natural mechanism that stops a person from acting on violent urges. There is a second biological factor at play: the MAOA-L genetic variant. In the 90s, the media gave it a terrifying nickname, the murder gene. MAOA is the enzyme that regulates your neurotransmitters. In people with the low-activity L variant, the body's emotional volume knob gets physically stuck on the maximum setting. As this diagram shows, the stuck knob completely floods the brain's chemical receptors with compounds like serotonin and dopamine. It overwhelms the nervous system, turning minor, everyday frustrations into intense, blinding rage. Even so, millions of ordinary people carry this exact gene. They live their entire lives without ever hurting a soul. Someone with this brain damage and the MAOA-L gene is a loaded biological gun, sitting silent and waiting for a trigger. That trigger is the environment, specifically the dark, oppressive weight of severe childhood trauma. Take Ed Kemper. As a child, his mother routinely locked him in a dark, isolated basement for hours on end, effectively conditioning him for the violence that followed. We see a similar path with Richard Ramirez. His cousin used graphic photos of war and sadistic violence to normalize murder in Ramirez's mind while he was still a child. It is difficult to imagine the sheer pressure placed on a developing mind when it is forced to endure that kind of unrelenting darkness. These severe traumas serve as the environmental catalyst required to fire that biological gun. Science calls this point of collision the diathesis stress model, the moment biology meets trauma. This is the core of epigenetics. Severe trauma reaches into a child's biology and flips the switch, activating dangerous, dormant genes that would otherwise have stayed silent. This internal rewiring manifests as external warning signs known as the McDonald triad. You'll see a sudden obsession with setting fires, or an escalating pattern of sadistic cruelty toward animals. These behaviors are the visible sparks of an internal genetic bomb that has just been detonated. The ultimate conclusion is that serial killers are the result of a catastrophic collision between nature and nurture. Epigenetics proves that having the murder gene alone does not doom someone to a life of violence. However, combining that specific biological vulnerability with a brutal environment creates a nearly inescapable, deadly trajectory. If a killer's brain and DNA were physically altered by abuse before they ever had the chance to choose, who bears the true blame for what happens next? Tell me what you think about that in the comments. We're digging into more of these cases soon, because the darkest mysteries of all are usually the ones inside our own heads.